All righty. Well, good afternoon. My name is Elaine Pardick, your New Readers Press sales consultant. Thanks for joining our session today. We appreciate it. With us this afternoon is Adam Springwater, Senior Client Manager for HiSET Educational Testing Service, and Greg Stultz, Educational Sales Consultant and Training Coordinator from New Readers Press. Adam will share important information that will be helpful to you and your program as you transition to the HiSET test. And Greg will then follow up and share instructional and curricular options for preparing for the test. Dan Helms, New Readers Press National Sales Director, is also on the call today, and he will also be monitoring the chat for any questions or comments that you might have. We look forward to our time together this afternoon. And now I'm going to turn things over to Adam and Greg.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everybody. It's wonderful to be here this morning. I'm going to show a series of slides. I am going to be covering quite a bit, and I want you to relax. Greg has already put my email address in the chat function, but let me repeat it for you. My email address is my first initial last name. That's @springwater@ets.org. And if you send me an email at the end asking for a PDF, I will be happy to send you a PDF of all the slides that we're using today with the links embedded in them. So there'll be several ways to get this information. One is that we are recording this, and that recording will be made available to all participants. The other is to email any of us directly, and we will share information with you. And if you are specifically interested in the slides that I shared, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm very excited to be working in the state of Indiana. As some of you may have heard, my in-laws, we're going on close to 42 years, so I have quite a bit of experience with my wife's family in Indiana. And it's a great state, a little muggy in the heat of summer, but then cold in winter, but great place to visit, great people. And I know that we're all going to do our very best to transition from the task to the HiSET in the best interest of our students, our programmatic goals, and ourselves as instructors. And that's my goal today with this presentation. So there's the HiSET team is Tanya Haug is our National Director, Adriana Wells is our Operations Director, and I am the Senior Client Relations Manager for Indiana. So let's take a look at some stuff. We're going to look at an overall introduction, a little bit about the HiSET program, some information about fees and registration, access to the HiSET systems, what you can expect as you interface with it, testing accommodations, because I always get asked about that, and then some FAQs. So we're launching currently in coordination with the Indiana Department of Workforce Development. Their website is active with links, and we have a HiSET state requirements page that just launched, and I'm very excited about that. So let's take a look at that. The goal, we are waiting for some final paperwork to be signed by the state of Indiana. So we're ready on our end. We're just waiting for the state of Indiana to finish up some paperwork for us. But the idea is to start registrations and to launch testing on July 1st. There's going to be an overlap of HiSET and task testing from July 1st to October 15th. And all new Indiana HSE testers are to start with the HiSET as of July 1st. And then we'll take a look. Here is the DWD HSE website page. I provide the link for you. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with it, and there's updated information there. But I'm very excited to report that the HiSET Indiana State Requirements page is now live and active. And there's the link for it, but you can simply Google HiSET State Requirements, and Indiana will come up on the list, and it gives you a incredible amount of information, which is what I'm covering in this webinar. So if you want a one-stop shop, if you don't want to wait for the PDF and you want to follow up, you can see that you can locate an adult education center on the right side here. There's search features or test center. And then it also answers these questions, a variety. There's too many for me to read, but how much does it cost, what your testing options are, scheduling an appointment, test day, scores, and then at the bottom, frequently asked questions for test takers. So this is a really great one-stop resource for you. If you follow up at all after this webinar, I would suggest you Google HiSET State Requirements and then find Indiana and take a look at it. And when you go to the webpage, each of these questions opens up to a 3 to 5 sentence explanation. So quite a bit of information here. And as you can see, some of you are scanning all these. I couldn't get it all on one slide, so this is actually quite a bit of information. If your test center has currently administered the task, you will be reached out for onboarding. Now that is slightly delayed. We were planning to reach out as of yesterday, but yes, yesterday, that's right. Monday was the holiday, but there's a minor delay with some paperwork at the state level. As soon as that's cleared, a flurry of emails are ready to go. We are ready to hit the send button. And in that email, you will get an onboarding packet with an MOU, which is Memorandum of Understanding. I'll give you a shortcut. I'm going to show you some links later, but the Hiset Program Manual, the MOU is just a contract that says we agree to the terms of that program manual. If you want to get a jump start on the MOU and certification process, Google Hiset Program Manual and take a look at there, especially Chapter 2, Facility and Personnel Requirements for Hiset testing. You'll get a Center Master Form, which was where you list all of the personnel that will be administering either the CBT, computer-based test, or the paper-based test, or both if you're offering them. And you'll also receive a Hiset billing form so that we can send you money for test center fees that we may collect on your behalf. You must complete all of these forms before testing can begin. So there's the Hiset Program Manual link. I can tell you that even though we try to simplify URLs, it's just easy. You just Google Hiset Program Manual and the link, the PDF will come up. I've printed a copy of it. I don't know if my video is still showing, but it's right here on my desk. I keep it with me at all times, and it answers 90% of the questions I get. You also are invited to attend administrator trainings, and you can email me about those, although Megan and Jerry at your state level are also working very hard to get that information out to you. Any staff that's listed on the Center Master Form will need to complete the Hiset e-learning. I have to tell you, that's a fancy way of saying we're just going to make sure you've read the program manual. There's no trick questions. There's no hidden answers. It's an open book test, and if you get a question wrong, you just go back to it and keep clicking on it until you get the right answers. It's our way of making sure that you've read the program manual. Here is a slide of the program manual. You can see it's got a table of contents that's very inclusive, but Chapter 2 is the one that most people, new centers, are very interested in, personnel and facility requirements. But then you can see Chapter 3, test administration and security procedures, Chapter 4, activities before and during Hiset administrations, Chapter 5, Hiset paper-based administration guide, Chapter 6, Hiset computer-based guide. So it's very, very user-friendly, and it does contain all of the information you need to be a Hiset test center. So let's talk a little bit about the Hiset program and what we're getting into. Hiset is currently offered in close to 30 states and territories. The dark orange states like Indiana are Hiset only. The lighter orange are multi-vendor states, and the gray states are states that have not offered the Hiset yet, but it is going to happen. And one thing we should all remember is that what we are qualifying people for is an HSE, a high school equivalency. So whether you earn it through the TAS, the Hiset, the GED, you earn an Indiana Department of Education Hiset credential, which is valid anywhere that is accepted in the country or indeed the world. We are a nonprofit, and therefore we provide open book data. If you are like me, a kind of a numbers person, I like looking. I have all sorts of anecdotal stories over my 30 years in education, but unless they're backed up by data and research, they're just entertainment. And although I do want to be engaging, I want to provide you with fact-based information. A lot of great fact-based information in our annual statistical report. Again, you can get the URL when you get the PDF, or you can Google Hiset Annual Statistical Report, and you will see that our pass rate is well over 75%. I love sharing that with potential test takers. It calms them down quite a bit. Let's just remember that the Hiset is slightly different than our other two HSE exams. There are 5 subtests that make up a battery. That's the terminology we use. A battery is someone who is all 5 of them together. An individual test is called a subtest. The subtests have questions ranging from between 50 and 61 questions. There is one essay question, and all the rest of the questions are single response, multiple choice questions, which is a great feature of the Hiset, lowers the anxiety and the affective filter for those of us in adult education training programs. There are formats. It's computer or paper-based test formats. What you offer is up to you. We will support you with either one or both. It's available in English or in Spanish, and we do have accommodated test forms. We're going to talk a bit about accommodations towards the end of this webinar. You must take the test in an official HiSET test center, or there is the HiSET at-home testing option, and we're going to talk about that as well. And you can now click on the link to check your Indiana state requirements for test eligibility. They have not changed from the task, but if for those of us that are new or you want to refer students, there's that page that I talked about before. Thanks to COVID, I guess you could see the silver lining in any disaster. We were forced to look at options for testers who could test during the time that test centers were closed. And in March, a year ago, March, HiSET launched the exam at home option, which has been very, very popular. We're well over 30,000 successful test takers. And you can again Google HiSET test at home. It has some very specific requirements that if the test taker can meet, they can also take the test at home. Scoring. As I mentioned before, there are 5 subtests, all, whether it's 50 or 61 questions, each subtest is scaled to a 20-point scale. That's like a proportion problem for us math people. And a minimum scale score of 8 out of 20 on each subtest is passing. The one caveat is, if you remember, there were 61 questions on the writing test. There are 60 multiple choice and 1 essay question. The essay question is worth 6 points. And if you are passing with a minimum of 8, at least 2 of those points must be from the essay. Now, you can't pass on the minimum on all 5. The combined total for the battery must be 45. So you have to do better than the minimum on at least 1, if not all, of the subtests. We offer a college and career readiness score, which is a minimum scale score of 15 out of 20 or 4 on the essay. And that's a performance level indicative of college entry into credit-bearing courses. Many community colleges and 2- and 4-year programs will allow students to enter into credit-bearing courses immediately if they've met that CCR standard. We provide a variety of reports, both to students as well as reports to you through your academic portal. I've been a teacher a long time. One of the #1 questions everyone has is when you look at a report on any kind of assessment, the question is, did I pass? So let's take a look at the individual test report, and then we'll look at the comprehensive. And I love this report because if you look on the right, it says, in the box, did you achieve the minimum score? Yes or no. But then it can break it down by your individual scores, what your score was, what the total was, what the minimum required passing. You can see that we broke it down for essay. This is writing. It was a good one to show. But then I love this performance summary because for instance, if the student did not pass, this breaks down where they were stronger and where they need to improve. And this is a great way to come up with remedial plans. Or if the student did pass and does intend to go to a 2- or 4-year program, it gives them great information about where their strengths and weaknesses lie. For instance, in this case, this person passed. They're very good at organization ideas and language facility, but if they're going to go on, continue doing writing exams or writing exercises, they're going to want to work on their writing conventions. The comprehensive score report, again, in the middle, did you pass the HiSET exam? Yes or no. Very easy, very accessible. But then it breaks down, you can see what your HiSET status is. Have you taken all 5 of the subtests? Did you meet it gives you great information. And then at the bottom, it breaks down how you did on each of the subtests, what your highest scaled score was. So you may have taken it more than once. The date and your test status. So very easy to access information. Keep in mind that you as test administrators and instructors for students that are registered through your programs, you can also do much more comprehensive data reporting and breakout criteria in a variety of ways. The benefits of the HiSET program. Well, it's the horse that's riding into Indiana, so let's all make sure we know how to ride it. It's portable and has national acceptance. We talked about that. So students moving to Indiana that have tested in other states will have access to all of their scores through the HiSET portal, as will you. And so you can know exactly what subtests they've taken, how they scored, and what still needs to be done to complete. Conversely, if you have students that are starting in Indiana but maybe moving to other states, they can take those scores with them. You don't need to tailor your HSE curriculum to the HiSET. We do provide HiSET specific materials, but actually all of the HSE exams are aligned with Octave standards, as is the HiSET. And as I mentioned, we have that familiar single response multiple choice test question types, which research has shown that may be one of the key factors that leads to our very strong pass rates. Students just don't worry about how to figure out what the answer to what the question is asking them. They can just focus on how to get the right answer. We have comprehensive testing accommodations and disability services. I'm going to talk a bit about that later in this presentation, but I was the RTI coordinator for the last district I worked in. And while all of us really are special needs, we just don't all have IEPs. The HiSET team will work with you to build accommodations if you feel that they're necessary for students, regardless of the level of documentation that your students may or may not have at the time of testing. We provide free and low-cost practice tests and online HiSET exam resources. We provide a plethora of resources. I can do a whole hour on them. We also have partnered with vendors like Greg and Dan and Elaine, and they provide HiSET specific test resources that are proven to be effective. And I know that Greg is going to give you a good presentation explaining that. We have experienced and dedicated customer service. When you call our customer service hotline, you actually get someone in our home office who has been trained to answer questions for you or for the test taker specific to the state of Indiana, but also with the national offerings in mind. You have access to a free HiSET newsletter and webinars like this one. Keep in mind, we do not charge any additional, there's no additional charge to test centers for any of the services we provide, including accommodations. And the test takers have access to a free My HiSET account. Official HiSET test centers must be approved by the state and the Hiset program. So if you're already an approved test center for TASC, you will be seamlessly approved for HiSET. If you're a new test center, you need to work through Megan's office at the state level. Once they get approval, we will help you transition over or get set up. We have dedicated customer service and technical support. Our customer service is TASC, Test Administration Services. They will be your new best friend. And we provide specific technical support. Most often that's in the case of places that have firewalls, correctional facilities, things like that, where there's some kind of interface program. We have free test center training and online resources. And if you are on that center master form that I mentioned earlier, you have access through the HiSET portals to test administration software, which provides detailed information about students that are performing in your programs and also allows you to compile reports a variety of kinds. We'll do follow-up trainings on that reporting after you've gotten up and running. It's really fun and powerful information that helps inform your instruction. If you think that a student needs an accommodation, you coordinate that with ETS Disability Services at no additional charge to you or to the student. We do random test center audits for our Office of Test Integrity, OTI. They're actually good guys. We're not here to shut you down or catch you doing anything wrong. We're here to make sure that you are protecting yourself by following the guidelines. And if there's a correction needed, we will suggest them to you and help you get back on track. It's to protect the integrity of the test and, quite frankly, to protect your test center as well. Our test centers are listed on the Hiset Program website. We've been working with Jerry and Megan at the state level, your state directors, to get all of the Hiset test centers in Indiana updated. When you go to that Hiset to that Hiset page, hiset.ets.org, you could look up your test center. Information should all be there seamlessly loaded. And if you feel like your test center is missing or information needs to be updated, you can simply email me or TASC, and we will make that correction for you. We provide free marketing tools, posters, brochures, print ready, cut and paste ready, things to make your website look beautiful. So a lot of us are old school. I'm a very old school teacher, and I like to hold paper copies of things. So some students like to have things published. And like I mentioned earlier, there's no cost to test centers for offering the HiSET exam or for any of the resources. For those of us that offer instruction in Spanish, all of our web pages are available in Spanish. If you click the En Español button on the upper right, it seamlessly translates the whole page and updates all the links to the Spanish versions. Here's an example of how you can do a search for test preparation programs. Now this is Atlanta, obviously you'd be searching Indiana, but it gives you a list of the test centers. You can constrain it by city, by zip code, and then and by range distance, 5, 10, 25, 50, even 100 miles. You can also look up test centers, and it gives you the same map. It also gives you information on how to contact them and whether they offer computer or paper-based testing. When you sign up for a My HiSET account, these are free. Every tester must have one, and it's very easy to do. So when you log in, if you have one, you can use your username, which is almost always your email, and a password, and sign in. And new users simply click the Create an Account button. And through this account, you can not only register for tests, but you can look at all of your reports or past performance. We have dedicated program customer service. Again, this is on page 1 of the program manual. Please, folks, that HiSET program manual, Google it, download the PDF, print a copy of it, find that half-inch binder from that program from 3 years ago that you're not using anymore, 3-hole punch the program manual and put it in there. It'll be your most reached to HiSET document. But we have test taker services, 1-855-MY-HiSET. These are phone operators trained to answer questions for test takers. We have ETS disability services who provide accommodations. Test administration services, that's specifically for you, for test centers, TAS, and then our tech support. So TAS provides, will deal with support and resolution for emergencies prior to and on the test date, classification of test administration procedures, issues with center staff, test center staffing, scheduling test dates at your center. You actually schedule them yourself directly through your portal, but sometimes you need to make last minute changes and you need help. Any type of help you need. Or if you're just not sure, you have a question, you're not sure who to ask, you go to TAS first and say, I have a question about accommodations. Well, they'll put you in touch with disability services or answer the question. Technical support, I love this. One of my colleagues' husband was the tech support for our district, and we used to joke, we really had no idea what he did. He could be sitting in that room, watching Premier League soccer for all we knew. But tech support people speak that language, and our tech support people work with your tech support people to make sure that firewalls and protocols and proxy servers are all working properly. Let's take a look at test registration and fees. In Indiana, test takers will register at their local test center, which means you will handle the registration, you will collect the fees. After the testing event has occurred in the month, at the end of the month, we will record all of the testing. So you won't be charged for testing events that did not occur. If a student registered and didn't take the test, we don't charge you. But once a student has taken the test, we tally those up at the end of the month. You receive, you get billed for that, usually about 2 or 3 weeks after the end of the month in the following month. You'll be invoiced monthly. Test takers pay test fees, including test center fees at time of registration. Indiana has a rule regulation that test takers pay no more than $115 for the HiSET battery. And students can mix and match computer-based testing and paper-based testing. There are slightly different fees for each. Paper-based testing is more expensive simply because it costs more to score them. The computer-based testing is $10.75 per subtest. Paper-based testing is $15 per subtest. And then there's a test center fee that you add, just so long as the total for all 5 does not exceed $115. Someone needs to mute themselves. For correctional and restricted facility test registrations, I do have a fair amount of experience working with the corrections environment. So if you're a correctional institution, please reach out to me and we can do a follow-up one-on-one if you still have questions. But test takers, correctional facilities register through their program, and we restrict that registration so that only, obviously, only your guests in that gated community can attend. We do offer accommodations. Almost all accommodations must be pre-approved by ETS Disability Services before registration. If you think you have a student who needs an accommodation, please get started on it early. Don't wait till a week or 2 before testing, because if some kind of documentation is needed, we want to make sure that the test day itself is not delayed. We recommend 6 weeks or more lead time. And you can contact Disability Services at hisetssd@ets.org directly with questions. They're really good people. And if you're just not sure, you can just email them and say, hey, I've got a student who needs large, because some accommodations don't require approval. They'll just give you permission to go ahead and do it. Retest fee is every time a student pays that $10.75 or $15, they get 3 attempts. We do not charge retest fees for 3. They get at least 3 attempts. However, test center fees may apply. The retest credits must be used within 12 months of the date of purchase. In Indiana, you must take the full battery before they retest on any one subtest, and that's an Indiana state rule, and there's a 30-day cool down period for retesting. No-shows or cancellations. We have a very liberal policy. We understand that life happens. If there needs to be an exception, we can certainly petition for it, but the rule is basically by midnight the night before. If you're going to cancel, you need to cancel by 11:59 the night before, or by midnight. If you cancel after that or no-show, the fees are non-refundable. Your access as administrators, their test center roles. Again, this has gone over in great detail in our HiSET program manual, Chapter 2, Facility and Personnel Requirements. So there's a chief examiner, test administrators, proctors, and some limited associates. The key line that we cannot cross, and this was true for TASC as well as GED, test center staff cannot be adult educators. And we're not talking about the bus driver who likes to stay after his shift is over to help tutor students. We're not talking about the site secretary who likes to help, kids out. What we're talking about is people whose role is formal adult educators. And the program manual gives you more detail. To be a chief examiner test administrator, you must pass the e-learning. We have separate trainings for computer-based testing and paper-based testing. There's 4 modules of each. We say review the program manual prior to e-learning. It just saves you time. If you print that program manual and review it, e-learning should take you about 45 minutes. If you don't, it'll probably take you more like 2 or 3 hours. We do require 100% pass to score, but you can retake each section over and over again until you get the right answer. Here's an example of what the paper-based test modules look like. And you can see actually, well, you will see that they correlate exactly to the chapter headings of the program manual. And the computer-based testing has slightly different test modules because there is slightly different protocol to follow. Once you've passed e-learning, you'll have access not only to the portal, but to the ETS Data Manager, EDM, and test administrative software. You can access your profiles of your students. You can handle registration. You can look at test rosters, and you can access test taker results. To log on, this is our hiset.ets.org page. You would click on the 4 test centers and educators. You would go into log in and create an account, and then you would sign in. Once you've passed e-learning, it will be your username is going to be your email, and then a password that you will have set. We give you a temporary one, and then you reset it. Once you've logged into your portal, this is what it looks like. You can manage test takers. You can do all of these features. You can look at Data Manager. There's a tremendous number of resources. We're going to look at how you look up test takers because that's most often what you're doing early on. Easy way to search for test takers is first name, last name, date of birth. Almost the easiest way. But you can also search for them by their last name, their ETS ID number, or an appointment number as well. You can create new test taker accounts for students. If they have not done it themselves, they can certainly go to the HiSET webpage and create it themselves. But if they haven't, you can create an account and you answer for personal information, additional information, background review, and so on. It's a very simple form. First name, last name, date of birth, social security number is strictly optional. Once you've created an account, you can schedule an appointment for them. You choose your test center from a pull-down menu. It will have been preloaded for the state of Indiana, all of approved test centers. You can see it's a very easy to use interface. You click on a calendar, you choose the test, and then you can also search for access your attendance roster for testing, and you can click on a test and you can see who signed up and what tests they've signed up for. In case you have questions or curious about it, you can also print it or export it into an Excel spreadsheet file. We have web-based reporting tools available 24 hours a day. That's that data manager, that EDM, and you can look at aggregated test information, analyze data, and create customized reports. And once you've gotten your sea legs under you, I'll be happy to do a webinar with you that really drills into how to do that. So we have quick reports, custom reports, test taker reports. Then you can save reports. With the criteria that you use frequently, and all of them are exportable as Excel spreadsheets for manipulation if you want to further manipulate the data, or as a PDF if you're submitting it in a way that you don't want the data changed. Again, you click on that Access ETS Data Manager for HiSET. This is that portal page that you'll become very familiar with. You can choose the type of report that you want to choose. You can enter criteria, which test name, dates, a variety of variables. You can all subtests, some subtests, and there's just a huge amount there. Test administration, check and process varies depending on CBT or PB, computer-based testing or paper-based testing. Again, that's in the program manual, and all of this is covered in the e-learning and followed up with as well. Computer-based testing does have some extra steps of setting up. Now, if this term doesn't make sense to you, cache proxy, think of it as the teacher's computer. But the cache proxy computer, the administrative workstation, and testing workstations. You can change status as a test administrator. You can list why they could not test, whether it was technical issues or bad weather, whether it was a no-show, or whether they checked in ready to test. So we have a very seamless, and if there's an issue, technical issues, bad weather, no-show, please report it as soon as possible. We do provide accommodations. I'm running a little bit behind schedule here, I apologize. The accommodations are determined on a case-by-case basis. As a special ed coordinator, I love this. So there's no boilerplate, but these are the most common accommodations that are provided for either paper-based or computer-based testing. If you think a student, it's not a comprehensive list. So if you think a student may or may not qualify for some kind of accommodation, please hear me. If the only thing you get out of this section is this, contact Disability Services and ask them. They will be happy to help you determine. Most registrations and testing accommodations must schedule or change their appointments through ETS Disability Services. We provide that at no additional charge to the student. If you have an accommodation, in fact, they must go through ETS Disability Services. And then ETS Disability Services not only handles the registration, but then coordinates providing of those services with the test center. Maybe there's someone's going to read the test to them, whatever that accommodation is. Some accommodations do not require prior approval. That's why it's great to call them. So large print, scratch paper, wheelchair access, colored overlays, straight edge. These are all things that can be provided without formal prior approval. So check with Disability Services. The process is you should review the test taker bulletin on the website. You can just Google that or go to our website. Again, there it is again. I can't say this enough times. Reach out to ETS Disability Services for support. They'll help you determine if you need accommodations. If you do, you complete the accommodations request form and supporting documentation. Submit the request, apply early. They'll approve. And then once approved, Disability Services will handle registration and communications with the test center. This is what the form looks like. It's not complicated. If you want more about our accommodations policies, you could Google HiSET accommodation policies, or you can look on the requirements, the requirements pull-down tab on your login page, and there's a disability section. We also have a section within that link, within that disability section, a link for documentation criteria. But again, we will work with you. We understand that documentation can be missing. FAQs. The math test is single response multiple choice. There's no gridded responses or drag and drop. It's calculator neutral. Although testers cannot provide their own calculator, in the computer-based test, there is a test package. If your test center wants to provide a handheld calculator for paper-based or for computer-based, you can do that, but you must provide it. It needs to be a basic 4-function or scientific calculator. The state has the final determination, but I can tell you that the line, it can't have programmable memory. This is what the calculator looks like if you're taking it using our computer embedded software. If you want to practice with it, any Windows operating system calculator will give you that practice. This is what it looks like when it's on the test, and you can move that around, and you access it through pull-down tabs. We do provide a formula sheet, but not included is distance and Pythagorean because they are called out by CCR standards as having been memorized by the student. And the quadratic itself is assessed through completing the square and other linear algebra and algebraic functions. So the quadratic itself, although important, is not specifically tested. Again, that is as per CCR, College and Career Readiness Standards. This is what the formula sheet looks like in English or in Spanish. You can print out a copy of this for students to practice with. During the test, they have a notes and reference section, and they click on the help button, and then they have a pull-down tab that will pull it up for them. Last-minute cancellations due to coronavirus, please call the 185-MY-HiSET number right away, and we review on a case-by-case basis based on that. If your test center is going to be closed due to some kind of coronavirus or some kind of issue, please contact your task representative as soon as possible. We offer a variety of webinars like this one, the basics, exam at home, the testing accommodations, best practices, trainings. My favorite, which I offer, the content we'll drill into reading comprehension, writing fluency, and mathematics mastery. We provide a wide variety of webinars. You can email my national director, Tanya Haug, T. Haug, or me, springwater@ets.org for more information. We are all dedicated to the success of our students, as are you. So we're happy to help share and promote. If you're on Twitter or Facebook, please like us. You'll see that what we regularly post is stories that have submitted by test centers about their student success. It helps promote you, your program, and most importantly, the success of these men and women who we are all working so hard to support. Sign up for the HiSET newsletter on our webpage. You can just go to our hiset.ets.org and sign up for it, or you could follow this link, or you could Google HiSET newsletter and find it. I hope that I've answered some of your questions. If I've done my job well, we have more questions than answers. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Greg, but I do want to encourage you to email me at springwater@ets.org. I'm happy to support you and your programs. And as I said before, I'm happy to provide a PDF of all these slides, and a recording of this entire webinar will also be made available to you. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Adam. And in the interest of time, we'll go ahead and let Greg get started. But I wanted to point out there are a few questions specifically for you in chat. If you wouldn't mind spending a little time looking at those and possibly responding directly.
I'll do that right now. Oh, I'll do that right now.
Great, thank you. And now we're ready for Greg Stultz.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Greg Stultz here. Adam, thank you so much. I counted, and you actually took 7.5 breaths. That's impressive. That's got to be a record somewhere. Also, a quick thank you to Jen Wigginton with IACE, who's on the call today. Not only did she help promote the event, but she has been behind the scenes over the last 35 minutes or so, giving me little suggestions and reminders to make this a better experience for all. So thanks, Jen, for all that you've been doing. We appreciate you. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to give you a fast-moving overview of our test prep resources for the HiSET exam. And I encourage you, if possible, to stay on until the very end, because you won't want to miss what I finish with. That being said, we're going to hit the ground running here, or do our best to help you do so. I'm going to lead off with what I consider to be a must-have for every instructor who will be preparing students for the HiSET. It's the HiSET exam resource book from our Teaching Adults series. And for those of you who are using our Teaching Adults series with other things for ESL, for ABE, for mathematics, you know what a great resource this is. Just a quick walk through the table of contents. The book begins with a good overview of the test and tips for working with students. Here we see content and scoring. What else is there? Registration, scheduling, accommodations, all of this covered. And here we have making the class or the test relevant to students' lives, building self-advocacy skills. There are detailed descriptions of all 5 tests, and over 60 easy to follow activities foster critical thinking. Many of these can be used as lessons. Very clear, very user-friendly. The activity is numbered and in bold text. The purpose of the activity, the method, and suggestions are all laid out really nicely. Here you see a few more: study of models, teaching language and writing conventions and context. And again, the purpose, the method, suggestions. Valuable appendices include assessment targets, essay rubrics and templates. Webb's depth of knowledge is in there, handouts, graphic organizers, and more. Here's a quick example showing reading assessment targets. And this from the executive director of Concurrent Literacy Coalition in Fort Worth, Texas. Using this book to train other teachers in our own program and other programs in our community. This book is an excellent resource for anyone who is new to teaching students or preparing for the HiSET exam, or those who want a good resource book to keep close at hand. We're creating a resource manual for our teachers, and this book will become the heart of that manual. It's quite thorough in all aspects of the HiSET exam and is very well organized. I couldn't have said it better myself. Really an essential resource, in my opinion, and in the executive director's opinion as well, out at Concurrent Literacy Coalition. Next, if you're considering core study books for your students, New Readers Press offers the HiSET Exam Prep Series. Correlated to the College Career Readiness Standards and the 2020 HiSET Standards, each 192-page book contains the content, the practice, and the strategies students need to pass the exam. Students begin with a pretest to determine their strengths and weaknesses. Pretest answer keys include explanations, so students can check their own answers and learn from the incorrect ones. Each unit begins with an overview of the topic and a list of key words. Calls good attention to vocabulary. Vocabulary building stressed, as keywords are also called out at the beginning of each lesson and defined in context as they work through the lesson. Students can even refer to a glossary at the end of each unit for vocabulary definitions. So important. Test-taking tips and key points are called out to help students remember important terms, concepts, and strategies. And questions at the end of each lesson provide practice. And each unit ends with review as well. Unit tests and the practice test at the end of each book are modeled on the HiSET exam, of course. And an answer key with explanations is provided for all tests and lesson practice questions. These are just robust student books. Our Writing for the HiSET exam book is designed to help test takers write high-scoring responses by practicing with 15 practice prompts. Test takers will be asked to read about 2 different perspectives on an important issue and practice writing their own opinion on the topic, using evidence to support their claims. A planning box helps them organize their thoughts, and a scoring guide, answers, and exemplars provide additional support. Next up, our best-selling Score Boost series can be used in tandem with the student core books from our HiSET exam prep series, or as a standalone option for building critical thinking skills and test-taking strategies. 8 consumable workbooks, 48 to 60-ish, 64, I think, pages, cover essential skills and strategies specific to each test and are available in both English and Spanish. There are 11 to 16 targeted strategy lessons divided into 3 to 4 units per book, and each 2-page lesson includes an overview of the strategy, 2 example questions that model the thinking process, 2 special features. There's a think feature and a test-wise feature, and then 3 to 5 practice questions, and this in every 2-page lesson. Here's the design. First, an explanation of the strategy is given. Next, there are 2 example questions, I stated, using the think feature, which is written in the first person to model how the student should think through a problem. The example questions model the thinking process, and they walk the student through the problem step by step. The TestWise feature provides a test-taking tip, strategy, or a reminder, and now the student's ready to apply the strategy to several practice questions. The new lessons cover item types specific to HiSET. This one focuses on the line of best fit in a graph. Math workbooks give students practice answering the 5-option multiple choice questions that are unique to the HiSET. At the end of every unit, there are 10 to 20 practice questions. Following the practice questions, the Score Boost action plan uses a diagnostic chart to determine where students need to do more work. Strategy by strategy, unit by unit, Score Boost provides cumulative HiSET test practice. There's an answer key in the back with answers and explanations, and that in a nutshell, in 2 breaths, is Score Boost. Now here's a quick look at New Readers Press's online learning for HiSET. I feel like I'm racing. The HiSET courses are aligned to the assessment targets and offer test-specific at-level instruction for those students who are ready. It's flexible. It can be used in a variety of different ways by a variety of programs to fit a variety of instruction models. It provides personalized learning, empowering the students through highly interactive features, pacing guides, and a lot more that I'll talk about in a sec. And it's accessible around the clock on computer, tablet, and smartphone. The online learning course can be used in the classroom for group instruction, for distance learning programs or virtual classrooms, for independent study to expand the capacity of your program, or maybe to serve learners on a wait list, or for blended learning, a hybrid model incorporating print materials with the online solution. Students can download the free mobile app so they'll be able to study anytime and anywhere. And they can even switch to airplane mode and work offline. When they go back online before closing the app, their work will sync and all their time and progress is saved. So what's in it? Well, analytics provides useful information for administrators, teachers, and students. Interactive content that I mentioned, and more than just reading and listening, that better engages the learners in myriad ways. Guided practice offers tips and develops critical thinking. Interactive study tools like online note-taking, highlighting, bookmarking. And for the pre-HSE courses, there's audio support. Adaptive flashcards for vocabulary building, games for engaging review. This is a big one to me, self-assessment and review that lets students take ownership of their learning, and 24-hour access. And that's what I call a recipe for success. Students will quickly learn to navigate the online learning courses with ease. Each of the courses, math, reading, writing, science, social studies, begins by walking the learner through all the features they'll use so they can hit the ground running, right? Next, a pretest shows their prior knowledge, strengths and weaknesses, and it sets the stage for learning and ongoing assessment. A structured study plan moves them through the course, starting with a unit introduction and objectives before diving into the unit's lessons. And each lesson is followed by vocabulary practice using flashcards and practice questions based on the lesson. A unit test will help determine whether they're ready to advance or where they need to review, and each subject has a post-test and a practice test. Now, when the students log in, they begin on the home page that you see here, an adaptive calendar with daily goals and course completion target dates tracks the progress and serve as an effective pacing guide. The next button takes the students to their current study task in the structured plan every time they log in. Every task is assigned a certain number of knowledge points. When students complete a task, they earn knowledge points toward their daily goal. And in this case, here it is, today's knowledge goal is 25. One knowledge point equals roughly a minute of study time. And the students can use this as a time management tool for study as well. Providing more than just linear instruction, the menu allows students to follow the structured course, access and complete work assigned by their instructor, and participate in private and/or group discussions facilitated by the instructor. But students also have the option to revisit lessons, flashcards, practice questions, and tests at any time to study challenging topics. There are 4 different games that make review fun and motivating for a change of pace. As the students work through the lessons, interactive features like interpreting sources items walk them through how to analyze and interpret passages, pictures, graphics, maps, or data to answer HiSET social studies test questions. Helpful tips give examples or add context in the form of vocabulary tips, connecting the past to today in social studies, but also real-world connections, helpful hints, and math facts. Guided practice checks understanding and facilitates critical thinking, providing or hiding hints and answers with just a simple click. A toolbar in the top right corner of the lesson features interactive study tools, which allow students to highlight, bookmark, and make notes. A toolbox includes one or more of the following, depending on the subject in the course. It could be a calculator, the periodic table, formula sheets, a sketch pad for doodling, making notes, scoring guidelines for writing. Rating their confidence before moving to the next page of any lesson and seeing a recap of their work will help them decide whether they need to review or they're ready to continue. This is the self-assessment that I'm so supercharged by. Great feature. Students can make the most of their review time by targeting low confidence level areas and returning to their notes, bookmarked lessons, and highlighted texts. They can use their practice question and test dashboards to track their scores and review the questions they answered incorrectly. Students can even reset questions by clicking on Reset Category for the practice questions or Reset Test. Previous test scores are saved for assessing work and measuring gains, and they can do this up to 3 times, up to 3 times per test. For teachers, the learning management system allows them to access the course content, initiate and monitor discussions via the study dashboard. On the reporting dashboard, it lets them customize the study plan for students, access instructor resources, send messages to their students, view progress reports at the individual, student, class, or institution level, and download detailed time on task reports. Using their study dashboard, teachers can use discussions to communicate with students one-on-one or in a group. Worksheets, homework, customized curriculum, writing prompts, links, and more can be sent in the discussion box or included as attachments. Moving to the reporting dashboard, curriculum content can be customized for individual or multiple learners and saved or modified for use with others. Useful templates, rubrics, formula sheets, correlations, and more can be accessed in the instructor resources. And that teachers can create banner messages that are displayed across the top of the study dashboard where students can't miss them. They also have the ability to create and deliver in-app messages to a student's email box. In the class reports, teachers and supervisors can view aggregate totals, a class's average progress through the course, and their practice questions and exam averages. They can see totals in progress by subject, and they can click Analyze to see even more. For example, here teachers can see individual student performance at a glance. The top 5 lessons with the most low confidence levels, and the vocabulary they're struggling with the most. The 5 hardest practice questions, those that are answered incorrectly the most by category, and the 5 hardest questions per exam, where a drop-down box will show the 5 questions that are answered incorrectly the most often. The individual student reports have analytics very similar to those in the class reports: aggregate totals and breakdowns by subject, confidence level breakdown for lessons and flashcards, with even more detailed information on the practice and test questions, like average answer times and scores. And real-time downloadable session detail reports, filterable by class, student, course, and date range, provide time on task for distance learning and funding requirements. Capturing more than just session time totals, they show exactly where study time was spent: tests, practice questions, lessons, vocabulary cards, games, even idle time where students are logged in, but they've moved to a different browser. Maybe they're doing research, maybe they're Facebooking it or Candy Crushing it or YouTubing it, but this records everything. So great for accountability and accuracy. And onboarding is actually pretty easy. You know why? Because I can do it. And if I can do it, it's pretty doggone easy. Administrators can quickly and easily create classes and add instructors and students. They can also upload multiple classes, instructors, and students using a CSV file. Frequently asked questions, quick start guides, comprehensive user guide are all available in the support section of the program or on our New Readers Press website. And we now have training videos, short 2.5 minute training videos, and training sessions are provided as well. Concurrent licensing, and this is great for those of you who aren't familiar with it. Concurrent licensing means basically less money and less hassle. Instead of purchasing a seat for every student who's going to be enrolled in the online program, you pay only for the maximum number of students who will be logged in at the same time, at any given time. This means no more worrying about unused seats. You don't have to revoke licenses and reassign them to other students. Very, very handy. And that was your speedy look at New Readers Press's online learning. Lastly, a quick plug for Learning Upgrade, which was, by the way, grand prize winner of the Adult Literacy X Prize. Learning Upgrade offers literacy and math instruction and practice from the most basic level all the way up to and through high school equivalency, which is why I'm mentioning it today. For HiSET prep, how about pre-algebra and algebra courses and a HiSET math course? It's 180 lessons in all. And now a course on digital literacy too. Learning Upgrade's courses are aligned to the College Career Readiness, ISTE, and North Star digital literacy standards to meet the needs of your students and the requirements of your program. Two things, in my opinion, really set Learning Upgrade apart from other programs. One is how easy it is to use on a mobile device. It's just very user-friendly. You can see just by the looks of it, very easy to use on a mobile phone. The other is the fact that instruction is delivered via videos and music, and practice is given through games. So it's gamified, it's fun, and learners find themselves binge learning, just going to it as their new game, their new thing to do, because it doesn't feel like study. Hey, if that gets them on and working and learning, I'm all for it. Pre-algebra and algebra upgrade courses prepare students for success in the math classes and passing difficult tests. And these courses go beyond simple practice to help students learn difficult concepts through video and interactive games. The students gain the confidence to solve a variety of problems step by step on their own. The HiSET math course prepares learners for success with engaging lessons that teach the key math topics and valuable problem-solving activities. Learners move through 60 sequenced lessons that build up their math skills and then master a final timed challenge that will prepare them for test success. And by the way, we have crosswalks to our Score Boost math workbooks for a blended or a hybrid learning approach. Quick comment about the digital literacy course. It teaches standards-based digital literacy skills across topics like devices, data, content creation, communication, email, security, privacy, digital citizenship, technology, and a lot more. Again, 60 lessons. Ask your rep, that's Elaine, for a demonstration and a free trial. And speaking of, though I'm sure most, if not all of you already know and appreciate Elaine, you can find her contact information, the resources I shared today, and much more on our website, newreaderspress.com. You know, I can't say enough about Elaine. She's professional, hardworking, and truly caring. And it seems like she's always busy. So if I had to guess, I'd say the best time to be sure you get hold of her is between 2 and 5 a.m. And be persistent, folks, because she may not pick up on the first, second, third, or 20th ring. Elaine, any comments?
Hey, Greg, I'm giving everybody your cell phone number right now. And I'm gonna do call forwarding. I gotta learn how to do that first, but maybe Jen will help me with that.
Elaine, I thought you might want to tell everybody about the special offer you're doing.
Yes, thanks. And I just noticed too that Jen shared it with everyone, and I really appreciate that. I wish I was as techie as she was. I've got to get some tips from Jen on that. But yes, for all of our Indiana folks, we are doing free shipping on any HiSET purchase of $100 or more. The special offer is good through July 30th. And for free shipping, free shipping. I left out what the offer was. And anyway, the promo code is INFS21. That's INFS21. But please just reach out to me through email, and I'm happy to help you with your orders. And if you would like to take a look at any of the print or digital materials that Greg mentioned today, I'd be happy to send samplers and also set you up with your digital demo for 90 days or 30, depending on which item you're looking at. But I also want to say real quick too, Greg, I wanted to thank you and Adam for doing this today. I really, really appreciate it. And I also am thankful for Dan for monitoring the chat. And then I also wanted to reach out to Jen. She's always very helpful to me, and she promoted this very well throughout the state. And we have a lot of folks on the call today, and it's because she sent out a lot of emails and let everyone know. So Jen, thank you for all you do to help us at New Readers Press too.
Well, with that, I'd like to close today's session saying thank you. Folks, keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate you as well, the sacrifices that you make for your students. So stay well, stay healthy, keep a great attitude, stay positive, just not COVID positive. That, I'm going to let everyone go and have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week.